Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Kasper Show podcast. Second hour, kicking off right now on this Monday morning of April 13th. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning and making us a part of your starts. Hopefully you're up and at it, and hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. What was the best and what was the worst of the weekend for you? Send it on over. Share it with us. Maybe you had some luck in the woods if you had some youth turkey hunters out there. Maybe you were at a local tournament for some youth out there, or maybe it was... Hey, maybe we have a Nationals fan that just wants to say, hey, I'm a big Nationals fan, and we kicked your you-know-what. Whatever it is, all right? What's your best, and then what's your worst from the weekend? Our VFW Post 305, best and worst from the weekend. We've got a little Glory Days segment coming up a little bit later on. I will just say, if you were a Tecmo Bowl fan back in the day, you might want to hear this. It's Tecmo Bowl and cards. Combine the two. We'll explain that a little bit later on. Also, it is with it being Monday here too, we'll do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. No JC and EC, so I'll do my best to fill in. But we've got, you go from the college side, Blue Gold softball splitting against UW Oshkosh. We had baseball going up against Whitewater. Whitewater did come away with 2 victories, but game 2 was really competitive. Whitewater, a top 10 team as well. So we'll take a look at some of that and kind of look back from a busy weekend for our local sports roundup. So that'll be coming up a little bit later on. Send me your thoughts on the Packers trading Dontavian Wicks. Also, the Bucks. Is there a head coach out there, a head coach candidate out there that you would like to see the Milwaukee Bucks go after? Give me some names. All right. Badger-wise, Saturday we go to hockey, national championship game against Denver. Badgers jumped out to an early 1-0 lead, but not able to hold on, and Denver is able to capture the national championship 2-1. And you look at this Badger hockey season, this men's hockey season, and I know we kind of talked about it late last week too, but it was kind of up and down. I mean, they started off so well, then they went through some rough stretches, losing streaks, and then they bounced back, into this tournament. They early exit in the Big Ten or in the conference tournament, and then they make this run, get into the Frozen Four, winning in the Frozen Four to get to the national championship, and man, so close to capturing another national championship. Overall, I think if you are a fan, a Badgers fan, a Badger men's hockey fan, or a Badger hockey fan, you look at this season, and it's a disappointing finish, but it was a pretty fun season. It was a pretty eventful season, right? You kind of look back at it. You look at the first 3 years of the Mike Hastings era. First year, surprised a lot of people. Second year, a little bit down, but when you take a step back, they lost a lot of players. And then you look at the third year here, and it's like, dang. I think there's a lot of optimism. You should be optimistic about this program going forward, continuing to go forward. But the big question now for the university is, they're already looking for a new chancellor. Now you got to throw in, they're going to be looking for a new athletic director. With Chris McIntosh, a surprise announcement late yesterday, early evening. He's leaving. He's going to take a job with the Big Ten. Going to work with the Big Ten Conference Commissioner. I think everybody's kind of surprised and shocked at that. After, he is a Wisconsin guy, playing at Wisconsin. Worked under Barry Alvarez. Kind of the hand-picked successor. Just a few years into it, he's gone. Now, I don't know if maybe he felt a little external pressure. I don't know if he, was a little bit nervous about a potential new chancellor coming in. Would he be on the hot seat considering what's going on with the football program and all that? I don't know. I know that's been thrown out there as a possibility. I don't know. But whoever this new athletic director is going to be, right away, they're going to have some big decisions on the horizon. Now, I don't think Luke Fickell is going to, let's say a new athletic director gets hired within the next couple months. Luke Fickell's not going to get fired right away. He's at least going to begin the season as the head coach for football. But is there a little bit more added pressure on Luke Fickell? There was already a ton of pressure. Maybe there's a little bit more because he doesn't have the AD that hired him in his corner. He doesn't have that same AD that committed to him publicly numerous times. So, yeah, that hot seat got a little hotter. If you're Greg Gard, are you a little bit nervous? I think it's natural to be. Put yourself in those shoes, in your job, let's say. You've been there. You're kind of like, you get maybe a new boss coming in. Anybody's nervous when a new boss comes in. Anybody should be, especially if it's from the outside. So I don't know if Greg Gard would does the seat get hot? Does it get warmer? I think it's natural for a lot of people to just kind of maybe be a little bit on notice, except for Mark Johnson. I mean, he good. He don't got to worry about anything. I think Mike Hastings is probably in a pretty decent shape too when we look at the top programs and such. But who's out there? Who's a person that maybe the university kind of targets for their athletic director? And do you want somebody to be from the Wisconsin family so they understand a little bit how Wisconsin, I guess, operates, or maybe some of the limitations that are around Wisconsin? When you talk about enrollment and NIL and all that sort of stuff, is that something that you want that new athletic director to have maybe experience of, or at least has a really good understanding of that? Or do you just want, hey, I just want the best candidate out there? I just want, if it's from the outside, it's from the outside. Well, let me throw out some names to you here quickly, okay? Just some potential options. I'm not saying these are the options, but they could be some potential options. Right now, I mean, you've got the deputy AD and chief operating officer, Marcus Sedberry. Earlier in 2025, he was named general manager for Wisconsin football and began overseeing all roster management, player personnel, and operations for Badger football. So if you want kind of the internal candidates and obviously somebody who works closely with the football program, which right now is probably the program that you want to see the most improvement on, maybe it's this person. Another one. You won't have to look too far. Just a little south. Sean Frazier, who is currently the athletic director at Northern Illinois. He has been the athletic director at Illinois since 2013. However, he worked under Barry Alvarez as deputy athletic director from 2007 to 2013. So if Wisconsin maybe wants somebody that has AD experience, athletic directing experience, maybe they look to somebody like Sean Frazier. Another potential option. Maybe they hired Barry Alvarez from where? From Notre Dame, right? Do they go back to Notre Dame to find their new athletic director? And that person could potentially be an individual named Mario Morris. He is currently the deputy athletic director for Notre Dame, but he was a former CFO at Wisconsin, chief financial officer. So again, somebody that has experience with Wisconsin. Is that a draw? Is that something that you're looking for? Somebody that was part of the family. Possibly. And then you're looking at, okay, Notre Dame? Yeah. Yeah, and this is a guy, before joining Wisconsin, too, he worked for several years in the financial services industry. So given everything that's going on in the college sports landscape, finances, NIL, all that stuff, and right now he provides strategic guidance for NIL, is that something that could be attracted to Wisconsin? I would think so. When he was CFO at Wisconsin, he had primary oversight to the $150 million financial and operations budget. He was responsible for guiding the athletics business office, ticket office, and data analytics staff in support of revenue generation, purchasing, accounting, finance, and budget. He led Wisconsin's effort to create a first-of-its-kind multi-year partnership between the school's athletic department and Legends to streamline initiatives across general ticketing, premium seating, and annual fundraising, marketing, and business intelligence capabilities. I mean, given the current landscape of Wisconsin, maybe that's, or was the current landscape of college sports, that sounds kind of attractive. So, got a few more names, though. All right. I think if you're Wisconsin, you have to cast a wide net. And maybe they go to Idaho. Terry Golick. She is the athletic director at Idaho. And she was a former Wisconsin senior associate athletic director for sports administration. She was responsible for the direct supervision of 10 sports and associated budgets, 6 head coaches during her time at Wisconsin. She also had leadership roles on Big Ten Conference and NCAA committees. I mean, that's pretty impressive, too. Looking at her experience with the Big Ten, and, of course, with her experience at Wisconsin. Maybe some other candidates out there. You look at, I mean, if you want to go a little bit outside, there's Iowa State's athletic director, Jamie Pollard. Now, he's got Wisconsin experience in a couple different ways. His alma mater is Oshkosh, the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. But he was also an associate athletic director at Wisconsin from 98 to 2003 and the deputy athletic director from 03 to 05. And he has been at Iowa State since 2005. So you're talking about a guy that has a ton of AD experience. The other one, I don't know if this would be something he'd be interested in his current role, but maybe a little bit of a wild card, but definitely a person that's got a lot of business experience from a football standpoint. Troy Vincent, former Badger football player. He is currently the NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations. I don't know if that would be something he would want to move on from the NFL to be the athletic director at Wisconsin. Is it worth a phone call? Why not? Why not? Of all those names, they all bring, I think, an impressive resume to the table. Do you want somebody that has maybe some athletic directing experience? Well, you got a couple options potentially out there. And I'm not saying these are the only people that are going to get interviews or the only people that Wisconsin should interview. But they got connections. And when we get to job openings, whether it's a general manager or a coach or a manager, we always look at connections, right? And when you look at these Wisconsin connections, I think there's a lot to like. You got Sean Frazier, Terry Golick, who have athletic directing experience. Mario Morris, he's a deputy athletic director, but a ton of financial experience. They all bring something unique to the table. And I'm just curious to see what is going to be kind of the main thing that Wisconsin, the officials are going to be looking for. Do they want somebody that could really have a grasp and a handle on NIL and raising money and boosting up that department? And then, the think is in turn, that'll help boost their prospects and getting in athletes? I don't know. Definitely curious to see where they go, though. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's talk some Brewers. All right, not a great weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's recap it all coming up after these quick words. Spring is here, and it is the perfect time for a fresh start and a new ride. Whether you are planning some road trips or you're tackling some weekend projects or you're just ready for something new, now is the time to upgrade. At Toyson Ford, you'll find a great selection of trucks, SUVs, and cars built to fit your lifestyle and your budget. Plus, their team is here to make your car buying experience easy and stress-free. This spring, drive something that you love. That's Toyson Ford. Your next adventure starts here. So, Brew Crew. Man, what a rough weekend for the Brewers. Getting swept all 3 games by the Washington Nationals. Now, we rewind it to Friday. We knew Washington had a really good offense, has a really good offense. But their pitching in the early goings was a lot left to be desired. Kind of thought, all right, coming off of losing 2 in a row against Boston, you're back at the friendly confines of American Family Field. Maybe a chance to rebound. Nope, not the case. Let's go back to Friday's game, game 1 of this series. Excuse me, against the Nationals. 7-3 win for Washington. Nationals jumped out to an early 2-0 lead in the first inning, but again, kind of like the Brewers. Does that really deter us? No. Brewers jump out, grab the lead at the bottom of the first, right away. 3 runs. Bowers, first inning. Homer. It's like, all right, rocket and a roll. Well, that was all the runs that that the Brewers had scored. In fact, they would only have 4 total hits in this dang game. Nationals able to tie it up in the 7th, and then Trevor McGill, ninth inning, 4 runs by the Nationals. 4 runs by the Nationals to get that 7-3 victory. Aaron Ashby ended up being the opener, and kind of look at it, didn't really work because Chad Patrick was going to get the start, but then they went with Aaron Ashby to get the initial start, and it wasn't a great start for him. But Patrick then went 3 innings, no earned runs, 1 walk, no Ks. Did give up 3 hits, but Patrick lowering his season ERA to a .73. So, bobblehead night with Mizorowski at Saturday. Got to win bobblehead night, right? The Brewers offense, 2 hits. 2. That was it. 1 run. Bottom of the ninth, thanks to Contreras' home run. Nationals able to put up 2 runs in the 5th, and then adding a little insurance in the 9th with another run. Harrison, he gets charged with a loss. 4 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, only 1 K, and then 1 walk. Brandon Sproat, though, 3 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks. Dude's got to figure out the walk issues so far for him. It's like, okay, they're not going to get swept now, right? It's the Nationals. You got Brandon Woodruff on Sunday. They're not going to get swept. No, it can't happen, right? Wrong. And there was many times, I mean, Brewers, yesterday's game was weird because Brewers would take the lead, bottom of the 3rd. Then the Nationals take it back, 2-1. Then the Brewers tie it. Then the Brewers take the lead, the bottom of the 5th. Then the Nationals put up 4 in the 7th, and you're like, oh, God, here we go again. And then what happens? Gary Sanchez ties it up. First of all, the Brewers, it was Bryce Terang solo shot. Jake Bauers solo shot. Bryce Terang solo shot. Gary Sanchez 3-run shot in the bottom of the 7th to tie it. And Nationals score 2 more runs in the top of the 8th. This would be, Pat Murphy's great. He's awesome. Fantastic manager. I think this one, though, we look at maybe hindsight's 2020. You probably took Woodruff out a little too early. I think you kind of look at that. But, if you're handing the ball off to Uribe and Angel Zerpa, you're probably feeling pretty good about that. But Woodruff was pitching. His pitch count was, ended up with 70 total pitches going through 6 innings. So he went 6 innings, and his pitch count was only at 70. He had 6 Ks. He did give up a solo shot. But Uribe gets charged with the blown save. 2 hits, 2 earned runs. Angel Zerpa, 4 hits, 4 earned runs. The thing that, you look at the pitching and you look at, some of the issues that they had, but a couple things really stand out to me here from this weekend series with the Brewers. One, the offense. Going up against this Nationals pitching staff, there was an opportunity for this offense to put up some big numbers. Coming off that Boston series, the last couple games where the offense was kind of sputtering a little bit. It's like, okay, you're going up against a pitching staff right now with the Nationals that haven't been putting up great numbers. All right, let's rock and roll. Get back on track, right? No. Not able to do it. Offense can't get anything going. And then, for a Brewers team, the beginning of the season, the first 12 games of the season, 1 error. 1 error, the fewest in Major League Baseball during that time, in the first 12 games. But the last 3, 6 most in Major League Baseball. Gary Sanchez playing first just looks awkward. And then you had him chucking it at first base, and I don't know how Kyle Harrison, that ankle injury looked like it could have been worse. But errors for a team that prides themselves on defense, yuck. So those are the 2 things that really stand out to me from this weekend against the Brewers, is the inability of the offense to take advantage of going up against this pitching staff of the Washington Nationals that had been struggling to begin the year, and errors, defense, yuck. And then to make matters worse, Christian Yelich leaving the game early yesterday due to what the Brewers are calling a hamstring issue. Now, Pat Murphy after the game didn't really give a great assessment of Christian Yelich. Said that, quote, "We're most likely to get some bad news on Yelich." But he also said, too, that Yelich wanted to stay in the game. So I guess we'll see what the imaging says, and once that gets revealed in that. But obviously when you're on a 5-game losing streak and then you get Yelich, a guy who's been one of your better hitters this year, he's going to be out for a little bit. It's just a cherry on the top here. This was Pat Murphy's response, by the way, going to the bullpen with a 3-2 lead in the 7th after Woodruff had only 70 pitches, had thrown 70 pitches. Pat Murphy said, quote, "Woody was great, first of all, giving us 6 innings. What can you ask?" He said, "Murph, if you want me to go out for the 7th, I can. But we had all of our relievers healthy. Why would we do that to the kid? Even though his pitch count was low, he hadn't been 7 ups in how many years? So it was like, that's good. You've done your work." He said, "I'm about out of gas." All right. So you look at that. If Woodruff said he was about out of gas, you got a healthy bullpen, a bullpen with a lot of decent options in there, I think a lot of managers would probably make that decision. You went on to say, so it was clean. It was Uribe, Zerpa, McGill Ashby was emergency only for maybe one hitter or whatever. Uribe didn't do his normal stuff, so we had to bring in Zerpa. I told Zerpa, you're going to pitch an inning and a half. Be ready for 25 pitches, no more than that. He goes, I got it. When we had the long inning after that, it was the decision to go Zerpa to start the eighth. We scored 3 runs with 2 outs, so you don't have Ashby ready, or you'd go to a non-leverage reliever at this point in a tie game. Zerpa said, I got it. I said to William Contreras, let me know if he's not doing his thing. He pitched great the inning before, but he gave up a couple of jab shots to the outfield. It wasn't like he was getting hit hard. Yeah, he missed his spot in the eighth a couple times, gave up a couple of hand contacts, and we got him out of there. We didn't want to have to use Ashby again. That's 7 times in 14 days, I think. That's a lot for a guy that's been multiple innings a couple of times. But we thought, hey, keep it close here. We've got a shot. First and foremost, we've got to credit the Nationals. They played fantastic. They played loose. They played free. They played hungry. They had the right mix. They hit a bunch of balls hard. They stayed after that. They base ran. They executed. They were terrific for these 3 games. I know their record doesn't indicate it, but they were a scrappy team that played right, and we didn't. We did little things that are not typical of how we play. Every team is going to go through this. It hurts like crazy, but I still like our team. So the Brewers right now 8-7. When you look at the NL Central standings, Pittsburgh's at top 9-6. Cincinnati's 9-7. Cardinals 8-7, along with the Brewers at 8-7, and the Cubs 7-8. Off day today for the Brew Crew, and then they're going to welcome the Toronto Blue Jays to town. All right, let's take a really quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Before you hit the highway, make sure that your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you're ready for wherever the road takes you. And now with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle serviced has never been easier. Plan a trip. AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit ajmautomotiveservices.com to schedule your appointment today. So, man, you know it's a busy weekend when Brewers are kind of like 4th on the list here. But if you're just joining in, we've chatted about the Packers trading Dontavian Wicks. We've chatted about the Bucks. Their season's over with. Doc is out as head coach. Giannis comments again. We chatted about athletic director Chris McIntosh leaving Wisconsin. So possible names to fill in for that. And then the Badger hockey team falling in the national championship, the men's team. I guess one quick thing on the Badgers, though, too. For hoops, Austin Rapp announced that he is coming back to Wisconsin. So got that going for us, which I guess is nice. But, yeah, Brewers-wise, not a great weekend. Not a great weekend. So did they make your list for best and worst from the weekend? Our VFW Post 305 best and worst of the weekend? Let us know. All right, join in on the combo. Hit me up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912 or hang out in the Section 105 chat room on YouTube. And then you had the Masters from this past weekend. Rory McIlroy going back-to-back champs at the Masters. Maybe got a little dicey there on the everybody else thinking with his tee shot. If you were watching on 18, you're like, oh, maybe we get a little trauma. Scotty Scheffler was making the run and such, but no. Rory getting the job done. So there you have it. But let's coming up in a little bit. I want to do some local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center because we don't have Justice in here, so I'll do my best to fill in. I know we've got Blue Gold baseball. They're going to be taking out Whitewater at Carson Park today. Blue Gold softball splitting against Oshkosh this past weekend, top 25 team Oshkosh. So we'll go through that and some of our other local sports stuff out there. Again, I'll try to do the best I can filling in for JC, but don't yell at me too much and such. So we'll get to that. Also, we got a little glory days. Actually, let's do that right now, shall we? So, Glory Days are brought to you by Country Jam here in Eau Claire. Remember the good old days of, I think a lot of us, won't in our youth. Nintendo played Tecmo Bowl, right? We played Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo, whether you were the Raiders with Bo Jackson. Everybody was Bo Jackson with the Raiders. I always gravitated towards the 49ers because I was like Tom Rantham. Felt like you throw a little pass at Tom Rantham, he was going to break every single tackle. You had Roger Craig on the game, obviously. Montana, right? But it was like Raiders or 49ers. Tecmo Bowl was awesome. Everybody played that thing. And it's still kind of a what would we say, like an iconic culture iconic thing. I mean, we still talk about it and we still kind of reminisce about it like the good old days. Well, this is something that's pretty cool. If you are back into card collecting or you never left or you are a card collector and such, you're going to get card collecting and Tecmo Bowl together. Tecmo Bowl Super Bowl returns in a trading card form for some upcoming Topps sets. So, check this out. All right. Tecmo Bowl Super Bowl themed insert cards will be included in Chrome with the design inspired by the iconic touchdown celebration screen from the 1991 game, which was the first video game to be licensed by both the NFL and the NFL Players Association. There's a little fun nugget for you. So if you're doing one of these trivia things at some local establishments or such, and the question is, what was the first video game to be licensed by both the NFL and the Players Association? Tecmo Super Bowl is your answer. So, the checklist. You're probably wondering, who are the players on this thing, right? Well, it will include Bo Jackson. So there you have it. Bo Jackson, John Elway, Joe Montana, along with current players Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jackson Dart, Saquon Barkley, Cam Ward are just some of the players to be included on that. So, if you still reminisce, if you still play, I think they have like Tecmo Bowl tournaments and such. You still maybe my buddy Frank still has my Tecmo Bowl game after I think double-digit years. I've got the old Nintendo yet, but I got to get that game back from him. Otherwise, I got to find another one to replace it because it's been a hot minute, and I got to get my kid to play Tecmo Bowl here a little bit. But if you're thinking about the glory days of playing Tecmo Bowl with your buddies, with your friends, you got like the 4 plays you could choose, up arrow, A, B, or whatever, up arrow, B, and we all know. We've all played it. A lot of us have played it. Even if we don't play video games now, we all probably, I got to stop saying we all. A majority of us played some form of Tecmo Bowl. And now if your kids are into card collecting and such, man, what a good transition. What a good talking point with the kids. If they're like, what is this, Dad or Mom? Like, what's this design? Be like, oh, son, daughter, back in the glory days of video games and sports. Let me tell you the story of Tecmo Bowl. And let me tell you the story of Bo Jackson or Tom Rantham or Roger Craig. You know what? I still got the game, son or daughter, and the system. Let's pop it up. See how easy it is to hook up compared to the games of today? I know I'm not the only parent thinking this, but for crying out loud, this new stuff, like I'm trying to figure out Switch for MLB The Show for my kid, and I'm like, I don't know how this thing works. What do you mean I got to get another memory card and try to download it on there? This is the cartridge. Can't you just play off the cartridge? No, you need more memory cards. Screw that. Give me the glory days of just give me the system, give me the cartridge, bada bing, bada boom. It's that easy. We're good to go. It's too complicating now. I don't get it. But, all right. Bring me back to those times. All right, let's take a quick break, shall we? Kind of regroup here as we approach halftime already. Send me your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekends, okay? I want to get some more. I want to get some more. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these few words. Hey, speaking of the Man Cave podcast, Brandon and I have a new episode up that we recorded Friday with the NFL draft next week. We just kind of told some stories about the draft, being in the draft or being at the draft last year in Green Bay. So some stories that we haven't told before. It's a good little, it's kind of a story time session. So if you want to see the video version or the audio version, that's all up. YouTube is the video version. Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, the audio version. Would really appreciate it, too, if you have a hot second to, click that subscribe button on YouTube or get those follows up there, too. Also, a positive review on Apple and Spotify. It just helps the algorithms and such get the word out in that. So that would be awesome if you could help us out there. So, hey, Hy-Vee right now, I keep telling you, they've got like sales all the time. 1-day sales, 3-day sales, weekly sales. It doesn't matter. They've got deals all the time. And today there's a 1-day sale going on at Hy-Vee. If you want to load up on some pizzas, you've got the Roma pizzas for $1.99. I don't know if my kid's like a lot of you, but he could probably eat pizza every day of the week. We had to get another deep freezer because of this kid's pizza addiction. So load up on that. You've got $1.48 for a 5-pound of potatoes. Who doesn't look at a good baked potato once in a while, right? So $9.99 8-piece Market Grill crispy chicken, Frito-Lays. Oh, the cheese dip on there too. My kid loves the Frito-Lays cheese dip. He's got to have it with his nuggets, with the chips, or whatever. That's $2.99. Frito-Lays, Fritos, Tostitos, or can dip too. Buy one, get one, 50% off. Sushi. Their sushi is awesome. So, again, make sure you're always following the Hy-Vee Facebook page for the latest and greatest in terms of deals. And don't forget, you can always save money at the gas pump by shopping at Hy-Vee with their fuel perks as well. We are approaching halftime here. And, man, what a weekend it has been for sports, whether it's good or whether it's bad, depending on how you look at it. But there is a lot that we've already talked about and a lot more we got to get to. So if you're just joining in and you missed out, no worries. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your analysis, okay? Your thoughts on the Dontavian Wicks trade. Your thoughts on the Bucs situation. Doc's already out. I threw out a list of some potential names. Is there a potential head coach out there, a realistic one, that you would like to see the Bucs maybe go after? Or if you're not up and up on, who's available and such, do you want a coach that Giannis would be like, yeah, I want to play for him. I'll sign my extension. If you offer me an extension, I'll sign that extension if you hire this coach. Or is that not a factor for you? We'll get back to some Badger chat, too. Chris McIntosh, he is leaving. He's not fired. He is leaving as athletic director. We threw out a bunch of names out there. And the question I throw out to you, Badgers fans, is do you want somebody that's kind of from the Wisconsin family, that knows Wisconsin, understands Wisconsin, kind of knows the limitations, if you will, of Wisconsin? Do you want somebody like that? Do you think that's a priority? And then, of course, Brewers with their weekend getting swept by the Nationals. Yeah, not a great weekend for the Brew Crew. So, still lots to get to. We will do a little local sports roundup coming up in the next hour. Again, I'm going to fill in for Justice Cleveland, so I'll do my best. Don't yell at me too much. All right, so we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour. Kyle chiming in saying, I still got that game. Talking about Tecmo Bowl. Was always the Chiefs because they had the Nigerian Nightmare. Good pick. Should probably bust out the old Nintendo while my lungs are still good. Okay, so all of us older peeps out there, what was your favorites if you did play video games? I played a little bit as a kid. I was never really big into it. I had a Game Boy, I had a Sega, obviously I had Nintendo, PS1 and such. But I was always sports games. It was always sport. Once in a while I played Jaws. on old school Nintendo. Once in a while I'd play, obviously Mario and such too. But if you had to pick your favorite old school Glory Days video game, all right, part of our Glory Days segment brought to you by Summer Jam. If you had to pick your favorites, let's keep it like the 90s. All right, let's keep it 90s or older, 90s, 80s, whatever. Heck, if you want to throw Pong on there from Atari, I don't care. I played that too. But what is your favorite sports video game in honor of our little Tecmo Bowl discussion? NBA Jam. I mean, you got T-shirts now out there, right? You got T-shirts out there of Tecmo Bowl. Like Homage has those. Is it Homage? I think they are. But then the NBA Jam ones where, now you can have current players on there. It could be football players. I've seen it. I've seen like old school. I shouldn't say old school because it's only a few years ago. But like Rodgers and Aaron Jones were on there. And that. I was big like NHL 95 on Sega. I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I loved playing that game. Man, I loved playing that game. I was always the Red Wings with Sergei Fedorov, Stevie Y. Then I would trade and just load up, but I loved playing that game. So, all right, send those on over. We'll see if we get any texts and such. So, or comments on the Section 105 video chat too. So, all right. Zach says, good morning. Good morning, peeps from the Section 105. Wicks getting traded. Doc leaving the Bucks. Brewers not looking so good this weekend. Yeah, it was a weekend. Then you throw in the Badgers. Looking now for a new athletic director, dude. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. We'll rehash it all if you're just joining in, okay? But we'll kick off the third quarter, the third hour, with my best version of Local Sports Roundup, brought to you by our good friends from Carpet City Flooring Center. But continue to send me your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. Yeah, you probably got a little more of an option from worst from the weekend, but there's got to be something good from the weekend, right? Got to be something good. Hey, Masters, that went on. Rory goes back to back. Maybe it was less drama, though, huh? Look at the positive side of things. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off. Halftime. We'll be back in